What would you do if $1 million was dropped in your lap at 40 years old? That's what today's video is about. Everybody, Dave here, Hidden Off Grid, and welcome to another video. So yes, what would you do if $1 million was dropped in your lap tomorrow? You're 40 years old, let's just say, and it'd be kind of curious to see what people say. In my opinion, there's probably, three things you could do. And I'll, kind of go through those things here slowly but surely. So let's just say the first one is that you could buy back 10 years of your life. So you can take that $1 million and buy back 10 years. So if you're 40 years old, you take that $1 million, you plop it down, and guess what? You're 30 years old. Would you do that? That is a very interesting thing to think about, right? In general, people on the FIRE path, a couple or maybe a high income single earner could reach $1 million in 10 years. Okay, now I did it in 7 years and I'm a little bit higher income than I'd say the average, even a single person. Not to mention I also have very little expenses. So for a couple that have moderate income, they could reach that $1 million in 10 years. So they could buy back those 10 years, all right? So that's basically option number one. So option number two, let's just say that you are 40 years old and you want to retire. So you take that $1 million, you invest it in some income ETFs, or you invest it in some dividend ETFs, or just the overall market, like VT-SAX or VTI or VU, and live on about $50,000 to $60,000 a year the rest of your life. Is that something you would do with that $1 million? And I'd say the third thing is that you could do is you could take that $1 million and spend it on experiences, all right? So we're talking about, traveling the world, slow traveling, fast traveling, whatever you want to call it. You want to spend a month in Australia, you want to spend 6 months in Australia, you want to spend, a year in Europe, you want to spend time in New Zealand, the world is your oyster, all right? So what would you do that $1 million? Would you spend it on experiences? Would you go hike Everest or something like that, because it costs about $70,000 to $80,000 to do Everest? So I looked at it and I don't really have the mental fortitude nor the intestinal fortitude to probably even do Everest, but it's an interesting thing to look up because I got a itch up my butt, if you want to call it that, to hike something like that, just to say I did it. But after I looked at how strenuous it is and how much it costs and how cold I gotta get, right? I pretty much just nixed that off the list and said Dave is not really cut out for that. And that brings us to, I'd say, another thing here, or the last one possibly, is let's just say you're gonna invest it and you're not gonna quit work. You're gonna just continue to work until you're 65 years old. I don't know who in their right mind would want to do that. I'm sure there's some people that may not do that, but there's some people that could possibly do that. I'd say that some people may comment and say, well, I'll work till I'm 50 and then maybe try to increase it to 2 million or something by then, and then quit work at 50 years old. That could be a good way to go for some people. Some people might not feel that $1 million is enough. I get it. I'm hoping to hit $2 million by the time I retire next year in 2022. And it took me about 7 years to hit the first million and about 5 years to hit, hopefully, the second million. So that is right in line. So that's an average of 6 years per million. And like I said, that's not typical. I think it could be done with two moderate incomes on like two people with incomes. So, if you have two incomes, maybe you don't need to work till you're 50 years old. Maybe you only need to work till you're 45 years old. Keep that $1 million, invest it, and you can double it, maybe even triple it by then with two incomes. I don't really know. Some people may not ever choose to retire at all. Maybe they want to work until they're 65 years old. Who knows? Or I guess maybe there's another option. Maybe you want to spend portion on experiences, I should say, and maybe the other portion is that maybe you want to invest a portion of it, spend half on experiences, half on investing. So that'll kind of propel you in the direction that you want to go. Plus you can kind of a mini retirement, right? With half of it, $500,000, a pretty good experience to traveling or whatever you want to do. That's kind of a hybrid approach, right? So I'm kind of curious to know what other people would do here. Is there another option that I didn't even think of, right? I guess you could donate it or something like that, but I don't think donation is the right way to go, because if you quit working and you go travel the world, retire, there's the amount of stuff that you can do in this world for the next, 40 years potentially, up to you're 80 years old. The amount of help that you could do, the amount of, I guess it's volunteering, could equal way more than that $1 million, right? So just think of it that way, that sometimes the monetary donations just isn't worth it, and it's not really satisfactory compared to actually going out there, digging ditches, filling sandbags, helping people in need, installing, solar systems or whatever, helping kids or something like that. So just look at it that way. Sometimes the monetary value, you have no idea what it's really going to. So actually getting out there, getting your hands dirty might be a better way to go. So leave a comment down below. What would you pick? What would you do if $1 million was dropped in basically in your lap today, and what would you do tomorrow? So I'm kind of interested to see what you say. So until next time, go ahead and like and subscribe. We'll see you next video. Thanks for watching.